My wife is mad at me for talking to a girl in a bikini, but I told her she shouldn't have to be.
When my wife told me I needed to write a Reddit post to settle our debate, I honestly thought she was joking. I mean, what kind of married couple crowdsources their arguments to the internet? Apparently, us. And apparently, I'm the villain in this story because I talked to a woman in a bikini on the beach. So let me walk you through exactly what happened from my eyes, because my wife insists I left out important details. We were in Miami for a short family vacation, the first real break we've had in months. Warm sand, blue water, palm trees. For the first time in a long time, I felt actually relaxed. My wife stretched out on a beach chair, eyes closed, soaking up the sun. I took our son down closer to the water so he could build a sandcastle. He's 3, which means he carries around a bucket and shovel like holy tools and demands wet sand with the seriousness of a small construction foreman. While he was digging, a woman, maybe mid-30s, walked up and said, "Your son is adorable." I said, "Thanks." That was it at first. She kept glancing toward the water, so I assumed her kids were in the waves somewhere, pretty standard parent-to-parent interaction. Then she asked a few casual questions. What's his name? How old is he? Where are y'all from? Vacation plans. Completely normal stuff. I've had this exact conversation 100 times. Parks, playgrounds, grocery stores. People always talk to me when I'm with my son. Kids are magnets for small talk. What my wife zeroed in on, though, was the bikini. I swear on my life, I did not register anything unusual about what she was wearing because it's Miami. Everyone's half naked. That's the dress code. But apparently, according to my wife, this woman's bikini left nothing to the imagination. I honestly didn't look long enough to confirm that. Anyway, after maybe 10 minutes, my son got bored of the sandcastle and wanted to go back to my wife. So I said goodbye to the woman, picked up the bucket, and walked back. I sat down next to my wife and could immediately feel the temperature drop, and not from the ocean breeze. She asked, "Who was that?" in the tone that lets you know minor turbulence just became a Category 5 hurricane. I told her, "Just a mom who thought our son was cute." She didn't buy it. She said the woman was flirting, leaning in too close, and wearing something offensively tiny. I explained that people talk to me with our son all the time. It's nothing new. But because this lady had a tiny bikini, apparently the rules changed. From my perspective, I literally stood in the sand, talked about my kid, and came back. That's it. No flirting, no lingering, no creepy smiling, no exchanging numbers, nothing. The whole situation felt harmless.
But to my wife, it was the opening scene of a romantic thriller starring me and Bikini Woman. And that's where everything started to unravel. The argument didn't explode right away. It simmered. The quiet kind of tension where you can physically feel your partner replaying something in their head over and over. We went back to the pool after the beach, got our son a smoothie, tried to move on with the day. But I could tell my wife was stuck. Her silence wasn't peaceful. It was processing. And when she processes, it eventually becomes an interrogation. That night in the hotel room, she brought it up again. Except now the bikini had somehow gotten even smaller in her retelling. "You didn't notice what she was wearing?" she asked. I told the truth. "No, not really. I wasn't looking at her like that." Wrong answer. She rolled her eyes like I had just declared I've never seen a woman before. She told me I should have recognized the flirting. I didn't. Honestly, I rarely do. My wife knows that. She teases me about it constantly. I've been oblivious to flirting my whole adult life, which in any other argument is apparently adorable, but in this one, suddenly becomes evidence that I'm too naive for my own good. I thought that was the end of it, but the universe, or fate, or terrible vacation luck had other plans. The next morning, we went down to breakfast at the resort restaurant. Guess who walks in? Bikini Woman. Except now, she was in a sundress, which apparently did not change my opinion of her soul. She spotted us and gave me a, "Oh hey again," wave. Harmless, right? I introduced my wife because, to me, that's just normal politeness, but Bikini Woman barely nodded in her direction. She went right back to asking me about whether our son slept well last night. This time, even I felt the awkwardness. My wife's hand was on her coffee cup, gripping it, like she was preparing to throw it like a grenade. Bikini Woman smiled, said maybe we'd see each other later at the pool, and walked off. When she was out of earshot, my wife leaned in and whispered, "She's following you." I laughed, which was, again, the wrong answer. Over the next 2 days, Bikini Woman appeared in every single location we went to. Pool bar, there. Lobby, there. Random hallway near the elevators, somehow also there. And every time she'd start talking to me first. It wasn't extended conversations, but enough that even I could feel my wife's patience evaporating like the Miami humidity. My wife finally said, "She's into you, and you're being too friendly."
I told her, again, "I'm literally just being polite." "Exactly," she said. "Polite is not what you should be with someone who's clearly flirting with you." She wanted me to shut it down more aggressively, but what does that even look like? Do I bark at her? Do I pretend I can't hear her? Do I pick up my kid and sprint in the opposite direction like she's a zombie? That feels unhinged. But my wife was genuinely upset, and I love her. So the next time Bikini Woman approached us at the pool, asking if we were enjoying Miami, I kept my responses short and stiff. Yep, good, busy, gotta go. I practically dragged my son away. It was awkward as hell, but it made my wife relax, at least temporarily. When we went home, the argument transformed from "you shouldn't have talked to her" to "you should admit it was inappropriate because she was wearing that bikini." I told her the same thing I'd been saying since day one. Location matters. On a Miami beach, skimpy swimwear isn't a flirtation tactic, it's the dress code. But she said it's not about the bikini itself. It's about the combination of the bikini, the leaning in, the laughing, the ignoring her, and the constant reappearances. And here's the truth. Once she listed it all out, even I had to admit it looked not great. But I never flirted. I didn't encourage anything. I honestly thought it was harmless small talk until it clearly wasn't harmless to my wife anymore. Still, she insisted the bikini made it different. And that became the core of our entire debate, the one she demanded the internet solve for us. When my wife finally said, "Fine, post it on Reddit, let's see what they think," I genuinely believed we were about to settle this once and for all, and not in my favor. She loves that subreddit. She treats it like the Supreme Court for relationship disputes. She was so confident the internet would back her up that she practically hovered over me as I typed. So, I wrote the post. Every detail, every nuance, trying to keep it neutral. I figured the responses would be split, maybe even lean toward her side, because, in fairness, she's very convincing when she argues. She reads body language the way I read restaurant menus, obsessively, quickly, and with shocking accuracy. But the moment comments started coming in, it became painfully obvious that I had underestimated the internet's talent for brutal honesty.
The overwhelming verdict? Not the asshole. Not mildly, not cautiously, not maybe, but I see both sides. Just straight up, you're not the problem, the bikini isn't the problem. The issue is insecurity and mistrust. And once strangers get rolling, they do not stop. Comment after comment said the same thing. You're allowed to talk to people at the beach. You can't ban your spouse from interacting with attractive humans. If trust is this fragile, clothing isn't the root issue. Miami is full of skimpy bikinis. She walked onto the set fully knowing the wardrobe. The internet didn't tiptoe around her feelings even a little, which, to be clear, I felt bad about. My wife sat next to me at one point, reading over my shoulder, and I saw her face twist into this mixture of shock, annoyance, embarrassment, and disbelief. The 4 horsemen of Reddit-induced self-awareness. Then she snapped, "Oh, so the entire internet is right, and I'm wrong. Great." I told her that's literally why she wanted me to post it. She didn't appreciate the reminder. Then she did what no one should ever do on AITA. She commented on the post. Wife here. The moment she typed those two cursed words, I knew we were doomed. Like announcing your presence in shark-infested waters while bleeding. She insisted I left out key details. She argued the bikini was practically dental floss. She explained the woman kept appearing everywhere. She said the woman ignored her the entire week. She said the flirting was obvious. She said I should have known better. Reddit users responded immediately. You're doubling down.
You're insecure, not him. You need to work through this. You can't blame the woman for wearing a bikini on a beach. She read those replies with the same expression people have when they realize they sent a text to the wrong person. But the real twist came when she wrote a long update later, a full confession from her perspective. She admitted she had been insecure since giving birth. She admitted she didn't like how beautiful the woman was. She admitted she felt invisible when the woman ignored her. She admitted I wasn't flirting, wasn't leading anyone on, wasn't doing anything wrong. She even admitted she knew I never realized when women flirt with me. But then she ended her update with the single funniest line of the entire saga. Please stop commenting. You're feeding the beast. My husband wants to print this thread and hang it on the wall as his first win. For the record, yes, I absolutely Googled picture frames that night. Not because I want to rub it in her face, but because it honestly felt like a turning point. The kind where you realize the problem wasn't flirting or bikinis or Miami. The problem was fear. Hers, not mine. Fear of comparison, fear of losing something, fear that maybe I didn't see her the way she wanted to be seen after becoming a mom. Reddit didn't just call her out, it held up a mirror. And for the first time, she actually looked into it. After the Reddit dust settled, after hundreds of comments, after my wife's unexpected confession, after the collective internet slapped both of us with a very public therapy session, something shifted between us. Not in a dramatic movie-ending way, not in a catastrophic, we need counseling immediately way. More like a quiet recalibration, like we both finally saw the real issue instead of the distraction. The night after she posted her update, we sat in bed together, our son finally asleep, the room lit only by the dim hotel lamp. She sighed, the kind of sigh that comes from somewhere deep, not just annoyance. And she said, I know I overreacted. It wasn't dramatic or tearful or even apologetic in the traditional sense. It was honest, vulnerable. She told me what I've always known, but never fully understood, that ever since having our son, her body doesn't feel like hers, that she feels beautiful some days and invisible others, that every time she sees a younger, fitter woman wearing something revealing, she gets hit with that sharp little sting of comparison she can't always control. Then she said something that actually broke my heart a little. When I saw her sitting next to you, laughing, I felt like I was watching a version of myself I can't be anymore. That sentence hit harder than any Reddit comment, harder than any argument we had all week. Because in the middle of this ridiculous debate, bikini versus small talk versus flirting, I had missed the one truth that actually mattered. She wasn't threatened by the woman, she was threatened by the reflection. A reminder of the body she had before she carried our child. A reminder of a version of herself she thinks I miss. I told her, sincerely, that I didn't miss anything. I didn't want the bikini woman. I didn't even pay attention to the bikini woman. I wanted what I already had, sitting right next to me in that dim hotel room, wearing an old t-shirt, hair messy from the day, still the first person I look for in any room. She didn't melt into my arms or wipe away tears like a movie scene. She just nodded slowly, like she wasn't ready to fully believe me, but needed to hear it anyway. And then, because this is our marriage, she smacked me with a pillow and said, "You're still not printing that Reddit post." But here's the irony. The Reddit thread ended up being the thing that actually helped us understand each other. Not because the internet was right, the internet is rarely fully right, but because she finally saw how much her insecurities shaped the narrative. And I saw how my obliviousness didn't help. We spent the last day of the vacation a lot differently. She sat with us more on the beach instead of sunbathing alone. I made more effort to loop her into conversations, even the harmless ones. I lifted our son into her lap when moms came over to talk to him, so she wouldn't feel like an outsider in our own family. And Bikini Woman? We saw her once more at checkout. She smiled, waved at our son, and walked past us. This time, my wife waved back, not warmly, but politely, which honestly was progress. When we got home, she told me something I'll actually remember forever. She wasn't angry because I did anything wrong. I was angry because I felt less, and I didn't know how to say that. That was it. The root of the entire argument.
Not bikinis, not flirting, not Miami. Just the quiet ache of insecurity that so many people carry but rarely talk about. And here's the truth. I don't need Reddit to validate me. I don't actually need a framed trophy from strangers on the internet. What we needed was a conversation that cut deeper than the surface. And weirdly enough, all of this started because a woman in a bikini complimented our son. Life is strange like that.